Hi everyone, I wanted to join you today and show you the pattern for this really cute houndstooth washcloth. I made this with 100% cotton, and I'm going to show you easily how you can do this without tons and tons of tails to weave in, and it's a pretty quick and easy pattern. This washcloth here measures about 10 inches square, a little bit large for a washcloth, but that's just what I went with. But you can make this any size you wish. The supplies that you're going to need is number 6 hook is what I'm using for a worsted weight cotton. I've got here the Dishy in the color mint. Got Aubrey up here is using I Love This Cotton, and this is in the color Stonewash. And then she's also got the same yarn in the gray. So I'm going to start with the Dishy mint, and I'm going to show you white just because it has a nice contrast and you'll be able to see the houndstooth pattern well. You're also going to need some stitch markers. You're also going to need a tapestry needle, and you're going to need a pair of scissors. And that's what you're going to need for this washcloth. I've really gotten 2 washcloths out of this skein of Dishy already, so you really don't need a ton of yarn. If you have some scrap cotton yarn hanging around, it will work well for that. So to get started, what you're going to need to do is chain any odd number, and I'm going to work this one up in just a little bit of a sample size so that you can see the process of it, but you can work this in any size you want. For the washcloth that I did 33 chains, which caused it to be a little on the large side, but I like them that big. So whatever size you want, you can just use your tape measure and measure out the number of chains till you get to what you want and kind of go from there. I'm going to go ahead and just do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, just so that you can see the pattern. I'm just going to do this real small sample size. I did an odd number of chains. Anybody who follows me knows that I like to work in the back bumps of the chain instead of the side of the chain. You can work in the side, it's fine, but I just prefer the back bump and the nice clean edge it gives. So in the second chain or second bump, you're going to do 1 single crochet. 1 single crochet. And then in the next bump, you're going to do a double. And you're just going to repeat that pattern across the whole chain. You're going to do 1 single, 1 double, 1 single, 1 double, alternating that across the chain. And your last stitch should be a double. And you're not going to complete this stitch. You're going to go through, pull up a loop, pull through, and do half of your double crochet. The other half we're going to change colors. So you've got your odd number of chains, you've got a single crochet in the second chain from the hook, and you're going to alternate single, double all the way to the end. At the end, you're going to end with a double crochet, and you're going to change colors. So what you want to do is bring in your second color, lay it over, and finish that double crochet. And then kind of give it a little bit of a tug there, like that. Then you want to turn your work. And what we're going to do is we're going to carry this yarn of the mint, or whatever primary color you're using. We're going to carry that along with us. And what that's going to do is going to avoid lots and lots of ends to weave in. We can change colors every row without having to cut and piece those, weave those in. So what we're going to do is we're going to lay that primary color over top of where we're working, and then we're going to go into this last stitch we made, that double crochet, and we're going to make a single. Okay, like that, right over top of that yarn. And then we're going to go into our next stitch, which is a single crochet from the bottom, and we're going to do a double. And we're going to do that all the way across. We're going to alternate our singles and our doubles. The single crochets will be in the top of the double crochets, and the double crochets will be in the top of the single crochets, going right over top of that primary color yarn, carrying it along with us like so. And we also want to end with a double crochet again. We're going to start that double crochet like that, and then we're going to stop. And then what you want to do is hang on to your end and just kind of tug your color so that you don't have some puckering on the other side. You want to make sure that that's snug. Don't pull it too hard. You don't want it to pucker in, but you don't want it to bulge out. So just hold on to the end, kind of tug it. If you pull it too hard, you can stretch it out just to make sure it lays nice and flat and even. And now we're going to do the same thing and drop our white, pick up our primary mint, finish that double crochet. Pull it down a little bit like that. We have our second row complete. Pretty easy. Then we're going to turn our work. We're going to lay that white across just like that, and we're going to work chain one, and then we're going to go into that double crochet, going right over top of that white yarn, and do a single right over top of that double. And then we're going to do a double crochet into that single right over top of that white yarn. Single, double the whole way. And this is your pattern. You're going to do that the whole way. You won't have to cut at all or weave in any ends at all, because you're going to carry your yarn up each row each time. And it makes it so much easier. Like that. So I'm going to show you one more time. Tug that yarn, make sure it's nice and even. You don't want it to be bunched up on that side. You don't want your work to pucker. So just kind of tug it. Drop your mint. If you drop one color always on the back and one color always on the front, you're going to keep your yarns from getting twisted. And there we go. We just changed colors again, and we're going to do the same exact thing. And you're going to do this for as many rows as you want to get to the size you wish. Just like that. Okay? All the way. And then what you're going to end up with is this really pretty pattern. It doesn't show up as pretty in this tiny little sample, but you can kind of see how that houndstooth is showing up. And one side will be predominantly one color, and the other side the opposite color. It works out real pretty. Now for the border here, I did one row of single crochet. In the corners, it's got a single crochet, chain two, single crochet, and then I did one round of half double crochet. So I can show you that real quickly just on here. What I did was turned, chained one, single crochet all the way across to however many rows you did. And then when you get to that last one, you're going to single crochet, chain two, and then single crochet, and that gives you a nice little bit of a squared corner. Some people like to do 3 single crochets in the corner. Any way you do it isn't wrong. And then you want to go ahead and make sure you're placing single crochets along the edges in kind of an even manner. So there's not really any true rule, but you do want to try to only go through 2 pieces of yarn, just like as if it was a stitch and not a bunch, and do your stitches and kind of space them evenly enough that your work lays flat. You don't want it to pucker in one way or the other, you know, bunch up or pucker. So you can just kind of periodically check it. Kind of the rule is a single crochet row it should be 1 single crochet, and a double crochet row should be 2 single crochets, and it kind of ends up like that. So when you come to the corner, you're going to do a single, 2 chains and a single. And then we did this in the back bump, so you can see where all these stitches are, and you can really easily go in them like so, all the way across and then up this side, and then you'll have single crochets the whole way. And then what I did next is when I came to the end, and I will just pretend like this is the end here. I'm just going to pretend this is the end. I'm going to turn my work, chain 1, and then what I did was I half double crocheted and did the exact same thing all the way around in the other direction. And then when you get to the corner, you do a half double, chain 2, half double, and then go up the other side. And that's what you're going to end up with, just like that. Nice and pretty. You'll have, this is where your chains are. See there and there? Works up really pretty, and that's what you're going to end up with. Nice, beautiful washcloth. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you subscribe and like if you want to keep seeing some of my videos, and I appreciate your support. Thank you.